Hello everybody, I'm STV and we are in motion again. Today we're going to take a look at the newest pack, Vectorius. I'm about to show you how I prepare Vectorius for a show, how I create clip variations and audio-reactive clips, and how I use effects to make this loop look like this, or this loop look like this, so we can mix them together, have new looks, have great compositions, and above all enjoy our show. Let's start. I've opened the new deck. Let's start by importing the first 10 loops and arranging them in the appropriate layers. We got the foreground layer, we got the center layer and the background layer. Let's have a look at the first one. If the loop is touching the edges of the screen, it can be a center or a background. This is nice for a center. If the loop is playing without reaching the edges of the screen, we can use it as a foreground. We can make it bounce, we can move it around easily. This one, center layer. This one can be a center as well. This can be nice as a background. This is definitely a foreground layer. This is a nice background for a composition. This can be a foreground, another foreground, and this can be the background. Let's import the last 15 loops. This one can be a center loop. This one is clearly a background loop. This one can be a center as well. This is a background loop. This one can be a foreground element. This loop can be a center. Nice one. This is a foreground. This is a center loop. Another foreground element. This is a background element. This one is a foreground element. This one can be a center. This one can be a center as well. This one can be a background element. And the last one can be a foreground element. Once we placed the right loops in the right layers, we can start testing the composition and see what kind of combinations we can create. Change the center element, change the foreground element, change the background elements, and you can get some beautiful compositions straight away. And look how vivid everything looks. This is the benefit when using the DXV codec. Let's have a look at this loop. You can see the background is transparent. No more half faded loops. All the faders are at maximum opacity. And this allows me to do some pretty funky stuff that I'm about to share today. I made most of the loops in Vectorius to animate in an interesting way. Let's have a look at this loop, for instance. It starts, animates, and ends in a different way than it started. Let's see another example. It starts, animates, and then it ends in a totally different way. Now you might ask yourself, what is the benefit in all of this? And I'm glad you asked. Let's create some variations for the loops. Hold Control and drag it to a different layer. Now let's pause the loop for a minute and let's scrub through it. I'm looking for interesting parts that can emphasize the musical beat. I like the beginning of the loop where everything pops in. Let's limit the loop to end here. Let's divide a bit so it will animate faster and let it bounce continuously forward and backward. And we just created a very audio-reactive accent that we can activate when the beat drops. And the beat can drop a couple of times during our show. Let's take a different loop, pause it, and let's scrub through it. And I can really imitate the animation I want to create by scrubbing backward and forward. I like this end part of the loop. Let's limit the loop to end here and bounce it. Divide the bit to set the speed. Have a look at it. I think we might want to shorten it a little bit and accelerate. And 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Great. I will repeat this process and fill up my accent layer. Alright, accent layer is loaded. Let's put on some music and test our accents. Okay, we've got the accent layer loaded and ready for action. Let's continue by making more variations to the clips. Let's take this clip. Let's pause it for a minute. Let's go to effects, and I'd like to show you this beautiful plugin effect that you can get for free. It's a Radial Cloner by Hive 8, and you can get the download link in the description below the video. Let's drop the effect on our loop, and it looks a little bit strange at the beginning until you activate the alpha. And I can see it made 2 clones of my loop. Let's see what we have in the settings. The most obvious thing is the number of clones. Let's increase the number of clones to 4, 6, 8. This is beautiful. I wish I could clone myself this way. Let's hit the play button and see how it looks. Just fantastic. Great. Let's pause it again and let's see what other parameters we can change. We can rotate the whole image with image rotation. We can easily automate it by clicking this little arrow and pressing the timeline. Let's click the play again, hit animate, and now this will rotate around itself forever. Let's see what else can be done. Let's pause the clip again and cancel the animation by right-clicking the image rotation. The next parameter is the clone scale, scaling up and down each one of the clones. It's a nice effect. We can animate it easily, this time with the BPM sync. Is in, is out, and BPM sync. It's just the scaling to our taste. Then bounce it. I can set the speed of the bounce by dividing or multiplying the beat. And here we go, bouncing to the beat. Let's reset the clone scale. The next parameter is ring radius, making the radius of the clones bigger or smaller, and back to default. And the last one is clone rotation, which spins the clones around their axis. Now that we know all the parameters, let's animate the image rotation and the clone rotation, both of them by simply rotating them forever. And let's let the clip animate again. Simply delicious. Let's save these settings into an animation preset. It's always good to make the name descriptive, so let's call it a cloner. It reminds me of a flower. Let's call it a cloner flower 2. And straight away we can see it on our effects. Now we can take a different loop, play it, and just drop the cloner effect on it, and everything is set up and running. And we can make it bouncy by animating the ring radius and saving this as another preset. Let's do it quickly, starting at 0 and ending it at about 0.3. Easy in, easy out, and BPM sync. Let's set the end to 0.3. The beginning is at 0. Let's make it bounce. Maybe tweak a little bit the beginning. That's nice. Alrighty, now we can save it as an animation preset. Let's call it Cloner Flower Bounce. And when we would like to have a bouncy animation, we will apply this one to any clip. Alright, Rotate Cloner is super handy, but the good guys at Hive 8 didn't stop there and made another plugin, a horizontal cloner. Let's copy the same loop we already used so we can see the differences between the cloners, and let's apply the horizontal cloner. So first of all, let's activate the alpha channel. We can straight see a few clones. Let's up the number of the clones, and we can already get a nice echo effect. Let's leave it here for now and check the next parameter that controls the X distance between the objects. And the next one, which is the Y distance between the objects. The next one is my favorite and is the clone scale. Scaling the clones gradually, it can give us a really nice 3D depth effect. We can use full scale to downscale all the clones together. We can use the offset to move them around, and to use distribution to set how they are being distributed throughout the array. And at the moment it's not clear what it does, but we'll get to it in a minute. Let's start again. I'd like to show you a nice preset that I like to use. I'm sure you can come up with your own presets just by playing around with all the different settings like I did. And you can animate each one of the parameters. You can fit it to the beat with a BPM sync, or just make a seamless animation with a timeline, similar to what we just did with the rotation clone. So I'm playing around with the settings. Maybe we can downscale all the clones together. Spread them around a little bit with the X distance, and then use distribution to give this really nice spiral look. And we can open a little bit the spiral using the X distance again. And this is really nice, but it can do much better with some animation. Let's use the transform properties, and by changing the order and placing the transform properties below the effects, we are changing the order of the render, making the transform affect everything that is above it. Let's animate the rotate Z to spin forever, and we've created this spiral hypnotic element that is even nicer than before, but we still could add another animation. And to show you what I mean, let's change the order of the render again, and now the rotation affects the loop before it gets cloned. And if we bypass the cloner, this is how it looks without the effect. Let's first just save the preset of the cloner. Let's call it a cloner spiral, so we could find it easily later. And here it is. Now I would like to add another effect called the FrParameters. Really useful plugin that you can download for free or donate. I'll add a link in the description below. And this plugin adds another set of transform properties that can be animated, that can be saved into presets. And let's animate the Z rotation, reverse the direction of the spin, and we've created a beautiful animation all with effects inside Resolume. Now we can save it as an animation preset. Let's call it transform rotate, and this way the next time we would like to have something rotate, we can just apply this effect on. Okay, let's try and apply these effects on a new clip. Let's copy this clip by control dragging it. Let's pause it for a second, and then find the part of the animation where it animates inside the frame. Limit the clip to these areas. Bounce it. Set the animation speed. And now we can add the effects clone spiral and the transform rotate. One to spin the object before the cloner, and another one after the cloner to spin all the spiral together. Great! Using effect presets can really simplify things, but if you want to simplify it even further, we can add these effects to an empty clip slot, and I'm adding them in the order I want them to render, meaning transform rotate, spiral, and transform rotate again. We can see that they are in the right order here. Let's rename this effect clip to spiral. Let's create a few duplicates of this effect clip by control dragging. Now we can take any clip, duplicate it, and now by holding shift and dragging this clip onto the effects clip, and boom, The clip inherited all the effects and the name of the effects clip. Alright, we created some variations. It's time to try and mix it and see how it looks. I think this clip can be scaled down a little bit to have a better balance with the other clip. And next, let's add an accent. This is nice. Let's add a background. Or a different background. And a different accent. And we've got ourselves a pretty funky composition going on. Next, let's give names to the variations that we made. This one is a spiral. This one is a flower. A short, clear name can help us trigger the right clip in the right time. And this one we can call flower bounce. And this one is another spiral. I will continue now the process of taking clips, trying different effects on them, and let's see what kind of variations we can make. Alright, I found some really nice combinations. Let's have a look at some of them. This solar system, for instance, got mirrored and can be used as a framing element in this kind of mix, for instance. And if we solo this clip, we can see we used the horizontal cloner and bounced it on the beat. Same solar system can be used as in-motion element by animating X position and adding a mirror. This clip transforms to something totally different using the Radial Cloner, changing the position and scale and adding a clone. This beautiful flower is made from this loop, along with the transform rotate. Let's try and mix it with this flower bounce. Beautiful. Let's solo this flower bounce and see how it's made. Let's bypass the cloner. You can see it just animates from right to left, and adding a cloner to this animation creates something spectacular. And another example for the same setup, with a different background in motion, adding an accent element, or changing the background to a rotating tunnel, and adding this accent. And I found that this loop is really nice above everything else. This is the power of the alpha channels. We have a lot of things going on and it still keeps it clean. Before we wrap it up, let's talk about coloring. You can change the colors easily by applying hue saturation. On the foreground layer, let's rotate 33%. And if you're feeling really colorful, we can change it to 66% on the background layer. We can always control all the colors at once by adding a hue saturation to the composition. Decreasing our hue scale value will force the colors to go all the way down to monochromatic, and increasing will get us to the analogous color scheme. This is nice especially if you want to make friends with the light jockey. And after you made friends, you can go all the way back to the triad color scheme, change the hue manually, or if you want to go really loco, you can automate the rotation to spin forever. And if you thought this was colorful, check this. Glow baby glow. Glow is the ultimate party popper, and anyone who popped anything will thank you. Applying glow is done through the blur effect. Let's apply a blur, then lower the opacity to 50%, up the Gaussian blur a little bit, and change the blending mode to add. Isn't that beautiful? You can save these settings as an effect preset, and if you want the glow to be more subtle, you can use the screen blending mode. Okay, let's wrap it up. I've showed you today how to prepare a deck for a show, how to arrange the loops in the right layers to be foreground, center, or background, how to create short accents that can visualize the beat, how to create clip variations using cloner effects, and how to sync them to the beat, how to easily apply stacked effects to any clip, and how to control colors and fit them to your needs. That's it for today. We can get so many looks from this pack just by applying effects and playing around. I hope you've learned some new tricks today. If you did, please share this tutorial with your VJ friends and help pushing the VJ scene forward. Tell me what you think about this tutorial in the comments below. And you can always find more of this goodness on STVinMotion.com. I'm STV, and today we were in motion. Let's wrap it up with some music and mixing. See you next time.